Hello again and welcome to another edition of Economy Today on Top Price Radio and Television, where your matter now we own. My name na Princess Aniana, and for the Economy Today, you will remember see inside the week the latest information we don't get from the Debt Management Office, that na the John Body, where they talk about how much country they owe, how situations then take the be. Say as at December 2025, Naija don borrow about 159.28 trillion naira. Now you can sit down, you can see wetin really dey happen. This borrowing, it dey build country, abi dey put us inside bigger palava. We dey borrow to build the future, or we dey borrow to survive for today. All of this and more, now we go try to educate and answer you for Economy Today. I no waka alone to take follow me, put mouth for inside this one. Na ogbonge sabi man for matter of public, finance and economy matters. I get Eze Onyekwere, the lead director for Center for Social Justice with me. Good afternoon, Eze.
My pleasure being here.
And we really appreciate saying you show for us today.
Thank you.
Okay, so starting the matter, you hear Wetin I talk for my introduction. According by Wetin the Debt Management Office said the total public debt increased 10% from 144.67 trillion, where it been there in 2024 to 159.2 debt, foreign debt, and all of that. So before we go continue, I beg, wetin exactly the public debt for our people where they listen, and then when we say domestic borrowing, external borrowing, wetin we really dey talk about?
Well, public debt is a debt in the sense that it is monies and resources being owed by governments at all tiers if you combine the federal, state, and local governments, because debt and borrowing is on the exclusive legislative list. That's why the Debt Management Office is in a position to manage and then document all of them and put it where Nigerians can see them. And of course, the ones that are domestic are the ones that we borrow from Nigerians, from local institutions, and the ones that are foreign are the ones we borrowed in hard currency from different organizations across the world, like the IMF and World Bank, bilateral loans from different countries, and other agencies that are in a position, like the African Development Bank, to give countries like Nigeria a loan. So, in essence, that's the distinction. But let me properly contextualize this. You know, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power in May 2023, the level of indebtedness was about 87.3 trillion. And as at December 2025, like you were saying, it's about 159 trillion. So what do we have? For less than 2 to 3 years it's been there, for about 3 years it's been there, he's added about 72 trillion in new Naira debts. But that's not the full story. The whole story is that what exactly are you borrowing for? Borrowing per se may not be good or bad. I can't say borrowing is bad or borrowing is good.
Okay.
It depends on what you are borrowing for. What are you doing with the process of the money you borrowed? What did you propose to do with the money? And what are you doing with the money? So that's my introduction and starting point.
Okay, so the same question we asked, now you will talk now. Say, as a country person, we Nigerians now, we wake up, we just hear borrow, borrow. If we sit down, Oga Presido don't send message, go give National Assembly, make them get and carry go to go borrow this, borrow that. And truly, Nigerians, they ask, where these monies? So are we supposed to be worried, say this thing they happen, or we supposed to put our trust in government, say then they work? Because if you even go by Wetin Oga Presido still even yarn, yesterday when he talked, he said the reforms are working. He claims that they work. So where are these monies? What should we Nigerians do to take hold them accountable and give us breakdown of how this money take will be?
The Fiscal Responsibility Act is clear on the purpose of borrowing. The law says you can only borrow for capital expenditure or human development. Later, they amended the law to say for urgent national issues, some nebulous term that you cannot pin down to. When they started borrowing to pay salaries and for recurrent expenditure, because Ideally, you are not supposed to borrow for recurrent expenditure. The whole idea is that you borrow to build a stock of your infrastructure, to build human capital. For instance, if you borrow and improve access to electricity, there will be more productivity by firms, companies, individuals. And when they produce more, they will be in a position to create more jobs. And when they create more jobs and companies make more profits, they will pay personal income tax and corporate income tax. So the treasury will get bigger revenue. So that by the time it is due for paying back, we'll be in a position to pay back. But when you borrow, as is the case, to pay salaries and to buy SUVs for senior government officials, you are not adding anything. You are creating problems for the coming generation. And that's why some of us, when we analyze these debts, at some point in time, people say you are being dramatic. Now, let me explain to you. Buhari was an old man, and he was busy presiding over humongous borrowing. Where is he today? Same with Tinubu. He's busy presiding over humongous borrowing. If people should go, not that I want anybody to go, but God created man and we are his real age, everybody should have an idea. You shouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years he moves on, just like any other human being. Now, the people who are going to pay these debts are the young boys and girls who are still, some of them 10 today, 11, those who have just freshly come out of university, who are still struggling to get a job. Because in the next 15, 20 years, many of these people presiding over this borrowing will have either gone to heaven or hell, depending on their conduct in life. And so this generation, what you are handing over to them is a debt. Now, let me explain it in more graphic detail. What it looks like is like a father or a mother or a parent who is old. And of course, you prepare to go over to the other side, and part of what you will do is your will. You put your house in order, you are 80, 90, any day God calls you, your children after the burial will come and gather, and the lawyer will come to read the will. What we are so far doing at the level of government is like such a man on the day of reading the will. He said to my beloved daughter, who is running the interviews at the beautiful NGO, that debt I'm owing Alhaji 1,000, you should pay it. To my first son, beloved young man, I love him so much. That debt I'm owing to Alhaji this, he should be the one to pay it. They are expecting to hear about landed property, cash in bank, goodwill, and other things, cars that will be distributed. You are telling them, the people you owe, that they should pay. That's exactly what we are doing for the next generation. And that's why I find it extremely bad, because you are putting somebody in bondage without giving him the opportunity to say whether he wants to be in bondage or not. I've always been of the view, particularly lately, that any loan with a long period of amortization, like most of the money we get from these development partners, World Bank, all those agencies that says 30, 35 years, 40, the people to make the decision is the generation that will pay the money. And not some old 60, 70-year-old man who makes that decision, gets the money, squanders it, and leaves it to the other people. So that's putting shackles. So it is unfair for intergenerational equity. And you can see, like in the National Assembly, where you have less than 5% being women, you go and borrow money on behalf of the poor and the downtrodden. Majority of them are women, and the women do not have a say in whether that money should be taken or not. And even when you take the money, you steal the money.
Okay.
So you don't give them the opportunity to even voice out to say, should we borrow or not? When the money comes, you borrow it in their name, you still steal it, and you do not make it available to them. So it is a huge, monumental crime that the present leadership in Nigeria and across Africa are doing. That crime is as big as the crime of collecting your brothers and sisters and selling them as slaves.
Oh, okay.
It's just a huge crime.
Now, if they go by this your talk now, so wetin country people suppose do? Because like you just say, we no really get say inside this borrowing. We go just sit down. If you open news, they don't borrow this amount. They don't borrow that amount. And again, we dey here when them been comot subsidy. saying
Yes.
as they remove subsidy, so it go reduce the borrowing, because according to them, they
Six,
borrow
7
to
trillion.
pay the subsidy. Now, even after the removal of subsidy, they still they borrow more. When you talk, they say no country fit to survive without borrowing. So waiting the normal Nigerian person, like you just said, they live on for unborn generation. They live on for the young ones now to come pay. So waiting we feel do now to take responsibility and not take that liability.
I think what we should do is to find ways to hold the leadership accountable.
How?
How do we do this? Litigations are part of this strategies.
So when you
In
say
court,
litigation
in court, for us to follow up and begin to ask what exactly is this money, because they usually announce they want to do so with the money. Who is tracking and following up on specific loans? I did a study some years ago where I looked at Nigeria's debts, a 10-year trajectory, 2010 to about 2020. I saw so many loans, so many debts that we are taking on behalf of Nigerian women, for instance. And I was wondering who and who benefited. Does it occur to you that Nigeria has borrowed not less than between $7 and $10 billion for the improvement of girl child education in northern Nigeria? But the statistics are not improving, they are rather deteriorating every day. So if you borrowed money to improve girl child education, specifically in the northern states of Nigeria, who is following up to say where do you put the money? We borrowed money for the Great Green Walls program, which was supposed to be a green buffer, trees, to stop desert encroachment. But the desert has taken more land from those outlying states of Zamfara, Kano, all of them, till today. So where were the trees planted? Who planted the trees? Can we go and count them? If you said you planted them and they didn't survive, why didn't you make arrangements? Because we have spoken, we have made broad ideas before. If you want trees to survive, it's not a contract. Most times the women are the people who do the farm. If you could plant trees and each woman who runs around the village there, who lives there, has to take care of 10, 15 of them, to water them and nurture them, which they know how to do, and possibly some icing on the cake like a small little money or education for the children, free education for, if you're able to get this number, we planted 50, maybe 20 or 30 may die, but make sure 20, if you do that, you get something. So what I'm saying is that we need to follow up. We need to monitor, we need to track, we need to name and shame. Because it's not this media thing we are doing. We are dealing with utmost respect, we are dealing with people who properly so-called don't belong to humanity, because humanity has some shame attached to it. If they say you are a thief, or they say I'm a thief, there's a way I feel. I will feel bad. But you are discussing people who are beyond shaming. But we have to make it impossible for them to continue. For instance, do you know that last year, when the president sent that request for about 20-something billion to the National Assembly, I sent a colleague of mine to ask for a copy of the projects that were this thing before they started debating it, so that CSJ, my group, could do a memo to say advise or make an input. The National Assembly refused to give it to me. We put it in writing. They said no, that we should go and look for the author. The author is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So that we are not entitled to it. And the person who wrote back on behalf of the National Assembly is a lawyer. And so when you look at such people with such degraded mindset, how do you begin to engage them? You may say somebody is sounding rude, but there's no way. You are not dealing with normal human beings. You are dealing with people with a lower subconscious level. And so the only thing they need is to put them under pressure.
Okay. With this one, make we pause this talk now for here. I still get a follow-up question to Wetin you just talked. So, because the only thing you don't tell us now, say, make we go to litigation. But we are talking about
I said litigation.
women.
I talked about monitoring and tracking and reporting. And I talked about naming and shaming, which is what this media we are today. So if you monitor and bring a report, you could call out the people who are involved or behind it.
Yeah, and then where are they going now? We say, this one's now maybe NGOs, CSOs. I'm talking of ordinary Nigerian woman where they fry akara, woman wey dey roast corn, woman wey dey village, wey just dey hear all of these monies. But you go need to pause, make we take a very short break. When we come back, then we go talk more, because I wan know how ordinary masses, how the woman wey carry belle today, or the woman wey be say na she go pay tomorrow, or na pikin go pay tomorrow, how do they do something today so that there can be a form of control or accountability? Anyway, you still there for Christ Radio and Television. Economy Today. Now we're still on top. So I still get Eze Onyekere with me. And we dey talk about the amount of money when Nigeria they owe. And the fact say already, we never had the one where they don't borrow this year. Is going worser and worser. And like you don't talk, no accountability. We know they see what they use this money do. And all of us just sit down to look. How will we hold them accountable? Not go anywhere. Make we take a very short break. We come back. We continue the discussion. Welcome back. Still for Inside the Studio with me is Onyekere here. And before we will take that break, even they tell us wetin we fit do as country people to at least put a stop or hold leaders accountable for on top this monies then where they borrow. Like you talk name and shame, you talk monitoring, you talk tracking, and then you also talk we fit go courts, to go carry case. Force these people then may they explain to us as then say now because of Naija people, now they do this one. But I still come back to you, sir. This talk now where you talk it sound more like elite, like big people doing them. The woman where they roast corn, the woman where they sell yarn, the small pikin where they inside university or they primary school now where they don't share about 700 something thousand on your head inside this present debt. Wetin we fit do to
Okay, so
the country?
those set of people you are calling need activation. They're a bit dormant. They need activation through civic education and sensitization to link up these debts as part of the conditions why they are poor and why they are not having access to basic services, despite the promises that is made in the social contract and despite the fact that a good part of this money was borrowed in their name. And that after borrowing it in their name, somebody is going to steal it and they are still the persons to pay back. So it is the duty of NGOs, the media, civil society, people who are educated and learned like me and you to go and educate them so that they can become a mass movement. The army, because the challenge we have in Nigeria is like there are a set of people who are, you are the activists, go and just a few people who you can easily isolate. And there's nobody who can work all his life fighting for everybody. After a while, he gets tired or he feels a bit defeated. So if this is a mass movement of students, that's why what is even worrying me today is that the younger generation are not even taking interest. You see them on social media insulting people who want to hold government accountable. And they're the ones who are going to suffer, not me. I mean, I'm living my life. I'm not particularly young. And I don't see myself, I may not be around in the next 30, 40 years when those monies will start maturing for them to start paying. Okay, even if I'm around somehow, I will be able to take care of myself. So their generation, instead of trying to work for their future, are supporting those who are trying to put them in trouble. So it is an unfortunate scenario, and the earlier they are called to order, the earlier they begin to know that this is no longer the battle of the Femi Falanas and you want to reinvent another Gani Fawemi. It's not going to work. So those people have done their bit. It's the younger ones who need to come on board and begin to ask this question. For instance, all we hear is the letter written to the National Assembly. They read the president has called for $66 billion. What are the details of the projects? These projects are supposed to be in the public domain, which is a schedule to that letter, on the website of the DMO, on the website of the National Assembly. And when you put those on the website, you give opportunity for public participation and public hearing for people to come and hear their views, which you collate before you make a decision. You don't bring a letter for request, read it by say 11, 12, and Akpabio in the next 30 minutes says the I have it. I mean, this is so ridiculous. This is so ridiculous. It is even something which ideally Akpabio is a lawyer. What he's doing is unprofessional, even though you say he's not lawyer in there. How can you decide to approve a request for 6 billion loan within a space of 34 hours, later read in the morning, and by afternoon you have approved of it? You ridicule the whole system. It makes it's like, this is beyond rubber stamping. It's beyond rubber stamping. This is a little, with utmost respect, this is a little bit imbecilic. Why are we paying them? If it is simply that anything that comes and goes, we don't need a National Assembly. The president can carry on. Why are we spending hundreds of billions paying a set of people who ridicule us, who hold us in contempt when we say we want to have a say? You say, I represent you, but you have nothing to say but simply to gather more money into your pocket. I mean that's imbecilic.
Okay, but if I understand your talk now, because most times if you check the papers or you check where they say he wrote a letter, they always put on there, see the reason why he won't borrow.
Not in the detailed manner it should be. You see, last year was about 20-something billion. You must list the specific projects. And when you are listing these projects and giving people opportunity, people will now query, is this a national priority? Is this a national priority? For instance, why will all the projects you are borrowing be cited in the Southwest? The Constitution is clear that you should spread projects across the nation. You have ports in Calabar, you have ports in Warri, you have ports in Port Harcourt. Why will you go and borrow and put all of them in Lagos and Apapa? And the repayment is not being done by Lagos State, it's being done by money, all our money together. You go and repay it. You have railways everywhere, except places like in the Southeast and in the South. You borrowed money from the Chinese to build it. You did Lagos Ibadan. You did Kaduna this. You did this one. Where is the one to the other parts of the federation? The money is not you're taking it from the money of the states. It's federal money belonging to all of us. So when you deliberately underdevelop certain parts of Nigeria, people are going to ask those questions. And tomorrow you start seeing people from there bragging, oh, we generate all the money from the wharf. This thing, who built the wharf? Which money? Is it your father's money that was used to build the wharf? So there are so much that needs to be interrogated. And if you are borrowing, when everybody knows what you are borrowing for instance, you borrowed 1 billion for girl child education in the north. We want to see the details. It's not just girl child education. What exactly in girl child education? Are you building new schools and hostels? Are you using it to give them free tuition and boarding and feeding? What exactly do you want to? Now, where are the indicators? This money comes in the first year, 5 new boarding schools will be built in Zamfara, Kebbi, Kaduna, Kano, this. Everybody awaits. Year 2, we will have recruited a new 2,000 women teachers in science and mathematics. I don't know. So telling me you're borrowing for girl child education, you haven't said anything.
Okay, so if we look at this one now, are we going to blame country people for this one?
Not country people, I said the leaders.
No, I get you now saying, as the leaders, now what they're supposed to do with this, but they're not they do.
Yes.
And we we just relax. Now only whenever
because
we see shout.
We know.
Thank you. So
the bulk of the people know, except me and you, a few of us who know. The bulk of Nigerians don't know. So it gives him back the duty to us who know to be able to sensitize and educate others so that they can begin to act.
Now. But in this country, most times, whenever you talk these things, they will tell you, say, government not even here. Because like you they talk, we fit actually go do the sensitization talk and we raise our voice them to question. If we want to look at it, there have been some instances where people go stand up to do we no go green, to protest. On top, say, this thing where they happen, or they don't like them. Maybe because it's one session, maybe they not do one generally, or the way they do generally, they feel pressed down. So are you going to say the people to get their own blame, say they know they do follow up, or say whether you follow up or not, the elites they're not they listen. So because of that, Nigerians then don't just
No,
give
they
up.
will listen. We have to make it impossible for them to continue.
How?
Are the people not coming to ask us for votes? All right? Are we not re-electing them? The fact that we keep quiet and some people are carrying ballot boxes and then some judges some people are misbehaving, asking you to prove it, that's rubbish. It has got a time that the judge himself will either do the right thing or he gets out of the way. The people have to come in millions. You see, it's easy to throw tear gas when you see 500, 1,000 young men. If you ask the police or army to come, and the people demonstrating are in front of the National Assembly, and the police have information with their helicopters and say this crowd did not start near the National Assembly. This crowd started around Bega. And that, sir, you are the commissioner of police or the inspector general of police. They say this person through tear gas. Say, sir, I saw over 1 million people. I saw elders, I saw young boys, I saw mothers. If you are asked to shoot or tear gas, where would you start? And if you must shoot, you may kill the first 100 or something. They will catch you and you die. Because yes, if you are so stupid, there is a fundamental right to resist tyranny. Preambular paragraph 4 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Whereas, if man or the human being is not to be compelled to resort to tyranny, as a last resort, that human rights and fundamental freedom should be protected and respected by law. So you have a right to resist any man or woman who comes to sit on your head. You tell him, say you can't do that. If he sits, you throw him out, and you have a right to give him some slaps and punches. So we can't continue begging. We can't continue. Nigerians should be ready to fight, to resist. Because what we see is the devil. Because nobody behaves this way. Stealing clearly. Okay, where is the fuel subsidy savings? Where is the money you are borrowing? Where are you putting it? Is your life getting better? No. You are paying more for electricity. You are paying more for fuel. You are paying more for literally everything. They are borrowing on your behalf and sharing it. Look at the people in the National Assembly. The quality of vehicles they bought for themselves, 150 million naira vehicles. It used to be before that they will just do a few things, collect 300. If they collect now, Tinubu will put another 100 and something in service-wide votes for them. So there's that collaboration, conspiracy of tyranny. You take your own, I take my own. National Assembly doesn't question the executive. Otherwise, why would they take the whole of last year? No budget was implemented and they didn't say anything. And they started playing to the gallery when the 2026 budget. But they have the power of checks and balances. They have the power to summon anybody. And if you refuse to heed their summon, they have the right to ask Inspector General to issue a warrant of arrest and arrest the person and bring him before Parliament. So everything to them is a joke. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as far as I'm concerned, we take some of the blame as activists, as lawyers, as NGO people, but there's so much we can do. The people also take their own blame, but we need that concerted match for people to understand so that it will no longer be between the two of us sitting in the room or speaking to range.
But do you think, say, this picture where you paint so good it possible? The one where we say, like, generally united Nigerians then will come out to actually
It's possible.
ask the government for accountability.
It's possible. We have civic groups, women's groups, youth groups. We have churches, we have mosques. Can you imagine if it becomes a topic on a Friday like this? Not weaponizing anything for religion or anything. People asking and telling people to go and ask your representative about those debts, what they have done. You see what is happening in the United States now. Why Donald Trump is behaving like a little brat. The Pope said, war, this is an immoral war. You can't continue. He now insulted him and everything. The Pope has now told the people that call your constituencies, begin to call your constituents, begin to call your representatives in Congress, ask them why they are supporting this immoral war. So by the time people begin to call out from the pulpit, from the mosque, from the church, traditional leaders, it's no longer that the man comes and gives you a few pennies. You say, sorry, sir, where is the money for What have we done with girl child education in the north? I learned that you have borrowed $10 billion. I'm a first class traditional ruler here. My people are still distant. Tell us what you have done for this emirate. These are practical questions. That man who you think is playing God, he will become uncomfortable because he's coming to you to ask you to support him for vote. And you're now saying, sorry, sir, the 10 billion you borrowed, can you give us an account? And you're serious that my people demand an account. What will you do? You sit up. What? We are playing games with our lives. We need to get to the stage where we begin to look. It's the eye of childhood that fears the face of a painted devil. Most of these guys, if you just hook them up, they will simply run away. One-on-one with anybody, any young man, they will simply, all this power, silent. That's rubbish.
Okay, but still on top of the matter now, is there a situation where we say a country go borrow, where they go talk, say, you don't to borrow?
Of course. When you borrow to an extent that you cannot pay back, or like under Buhari, we are using over 100% of our revenue to service debt. So that means salaries, any capital project, any other thing, since you made 100 naira and you paid 101, that means you even borrowed 1 naira to complete the debt. And so every other thing you are doing was borrowing. So at that stage, even as we are now paying with about 60% of our revenue, it's too much now. Just check on yourself. You earn your salary now. If your salary is say 100,000, let's assume it's 100,000. You use 60,000 to pay debt. So you have only 40,000 to transport, to feed yourself, to pay rent, and do everything you have to do. It doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. So it must be at a stage where a rate where you can service the debt and still do all the other things you have to do as a nation, which includes you have to get your hospitals functional. People shouldn't be dying left, right, and center. Your schools should be functional. Have good transport system. Why are we complaining? If there were railways, okay, sufficient rail lines that are working, that are public funded, this idea that, oh, you must buy fuel and fuel a car for 30, 40,000 a day. Anybody can. In Europe and America, they do it. You just walk out 2 minutes from your 3 minutes, 5 minutes from your destiny. You wait for the rail, it drops you. You finish your work. 6:30, 7, 8. It drops you, you walk back. That's why you have these Tokumbo cars we drive here. Somebody who have driven a car for 3, 4, 5 years, but in actual fact, he just owned the car. It's only on weekends, a few times. In a month, he may not drive the car more than 3, 4 times. So the car is almost brand new, 4, 5 years after he claimed he owned the car. Because there's public transport. So when these things are there and they're cheap, food is cheap, nobody will be interested in disturbing them, but they simply don't want to provide this basis. This is the difference between us and these Western countries. Those people still play games, but they make the common people comfortable so that you allow them to continue playing their games, because people in government will always be playing games. But they must make the people comfortable and then continue with their games.
Okay, now these points then when you raise, all of this one now say, make roads they work, make hospitals they work, make education make sense, and let good things be happening. May Nigerians begin to really feel the dividends of democracy and say whatever did they get, say it really they work for them. How will this happen? How government won't make all of this happen? Because still on the matter, they don't still bring an excuse, say Wetin then they make, the revenue they are making, they lower than Wetin they need to spend on. And if you talk about where they say the money for all this removal of subsidy, they mention say now it make the fee pay more to state, the fee share more for federal accounts allocation. And people are still asking, you say you are sharing more, why are you still borrowing? They also say they are spending more than they are making. So Wetin be the solution to all of this?
No, even in America, they still borrow money. But the first thing is that you must cut down on frivolous expenditure. You must cut down on wasteful expenditure. So it is like a man who who is a father of a house. You have 3 children, you have a wife, you have relatives. when you earn your salary at the end of the month, even if you are paid $1 million or 2, it will never be enough. You have in-laws, you have all kinds of people around you. But as a reasonable man, when you get that salary, you make sure you give your children good education and health. Make sure you have a good accommodation. Make sure you have water. Make sure your wife or whoever is here, the people who are with you, are comfortable. Then put some little thing away in savings. Then once in a while, if you're the type that wants to drink beer, you could be seen. But if after, as soon as you earn your salary, you go and sleep over the bar and spend close to 40% of it drinking beer and doing frivolous things, and you come back and start complaining to your family members that the money is not enough, should anybody take you seriously? So when we make money and you prioritize buying 150 million SUV, you prioritize having a big delegation to go to any United Nations event, other people will take 10, 15 people, Nigeria's delegation will be 100. Then all those things, you waste money. Then you look at a contract for a road that probably should have been done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 billion. You go and award it at 13, 14 billion. And then you come back to tell me that that we don't have sufficient funds. I wouldn't take you seriously. So it's not about the money we have. It's about how we are using. First of all, make good use of the little you have. It becomes possible. For instance, this issue of even taxation. Nigerians will be very willing to pay taxes if they see improvements in their life. I use myself as an example. I mean, where I live, we put electricity there. Okay, took electricity from the main road down to that place. I build a house. I put the sewage. I put my children in private schools. We pay money for our own security. Even the police that comes here, we pay money that we pay to give to the police every month. So what does this government do for me? All right. So, and you're asking me, pay tenement rate, pay this one, pay this one. What are you bringing back in return? If I'm seeing much in return, I will even be one of those who help to ask others, say, please pay. But me, I cannot see much from the tax which I'm paying.
Okay, now we get some contributions from our viewers and listeners out there. This one say, good day. Very well articulated analysis by the guest. Nigerians should go back to their representatives and ask questions. Democracy na beautiful thing where every country person get the power to call back any person where dem feel say e no dey do well. Accountability na im be koko inside a democracy type of government. Thank you so much, John from Kubo, for your contributions. Now, you want to speak to that contribution?
Yeah, I think that's part of what I'm saying, that holding elected leaders accountable is the beginning and foundation of democracy. Otherwise, if somebody says, I'm representing all of you here, and then they give him money for all of us, and he pockets it, that means we are failing. We are not asking him. He will go out again and say the same thing. So he will continue. But if he does that, and when he comes back home, we say, okay, Oga, welcome. We hear say you collect this money. Where is our own? And if he denies, we bring evidence and tell him, say, you don't have to come back here until you go and bring our money. Or, thank God, you don't thief the one where you don't thief, but you will never represent us. If we can't get this one from you, but you will never represent us again. I think with that, everybody will sit up.
Okay, you still there for Christed Radio and Television, where your matana will own. Economy Today, now we did talk about with Eze Onyepere, the Oga lead director for Center for Social Justice. And this now Bonge Oga, where they talk economy matters. Now, as we round up the program, I get a question. Now, if you're in a position to give one particular advice to the government, wetin you go tell this country to do differently when it comes to money matter, that now one, and then wetin be that one very important message where you won't give to government on top this debt matter?
The first thing that will help us, both the leadership and the lay, to come to a middle ground which will develop Nigeria is transparency of the common people, not just those of us who take out extra time to look for the data and the information. It will help the woman in the village, the man in the village, the Okada rider, to begin to make appropriate demands. And for the government, let us stop wasting money. Let us stop frivolous expenditure. Let us waste it at maybe 40. We get value for up to for 30, 40. That's the danger.
And as we dey finish, I won't let you go. For the ordinary country person, we don't listen to everything we will talk here today. We still they look, say, okay, are we saving? Are we borrowing for development? Are we borrowing for survival? In just layman term, for the person to understand, to awaken, that their spirit, that talk where they talk, say we need to, hold our leaders accountable. We need to be educated to know, say, make we question our representatives. Wetin be that message? You feel break everything we don't talk here down, so that the person in the village can really understand the consequence, can really understand the dangerousness of wetin all of this huge borrowing mean to them as country people.
Wetin I go tell them be say, make they ask the people where they represent them for National Assembly, for State House of Assembly, local government chairman, councillor. Make they ask them questions, say, this money where they come to them, like for local government or state, every week, every month, wetin they use them, they do. And to say, when December reach or October, November, to tell them, say, now this and this thing we would expect today inside budget. Fertilizer, help us preserve food, like we would produce tomato. 50% of it will waste. Can we get refrigeration where we can preserve it? All those kind of things will be important to people at the grassroots level to support their own livelihood. We feel get solar energy, we feel get renewable energy. All of those things are things that they need, they should be asking. At least if they don't get the big one, will sound too big, let them get the small ones that are important to them.
Okay. I know, sir, I suppose let you go, but luckily for us, somebody, they just give me signal, say we get a message. This one say, good day. My name na Adeyinka from Wuse. With all this borrow, where would they borrow every now and then? Wetin be the evidence? What can we see? Say then use this money do. That's not the first question. Now I say we can really see no good road, no good schools, nothing really did to show for them. Now they don't say we dey owe or billions in naira as country people. Now, wetin be our fate? That's wetin it mean to us personally. Say Nigerian youths need to stand up and fight for their future. And that is still the question. As a country person now, wetin this 159.28 trillion naira mean to us? Are we really the one that is going to pay it back?
Of course.
So
if anybody, any of us that God keeps alive when the monies are due. No, I want to contextualize it because we are mere mortals. If you are alive when anyone that is due, you join and pay.
How? So meaning they will charge
from your
us
tax. Don't you pay tax?
I do.
Huh?
I do.
You're talking about when they drill crude oil or they mine gold or FIRS collects anything, the money they bring is part of your money.
Sure.
So instead of using it to make sure you have electricity 24/7, they use it to pay the person.
So meaning
So you are paying. You are paying. You are literally, apart from your tax, you are paying it one way or the other. You are the one paying. I am paying. You are paying. So many people may think that they are not paying. No, that money that should have been used to give you a good road, and instead of giving you a good road, they use it to pay back whoever they have borrowed the money from. You are paying one way or the other. So the bottom line is particularly the youths. We must find a way of mobilizing the youths against intergenerational equity, because people of our age and older men and women have been extremely unfair to the youths. But unfortunately, the youths are in bondage, but they don't know they are being used to even fight against their own future. The earlier they realize it, then the better for them.
Thank you so much, Ezio. So you don't hear the youths, now them be the future. The youths now get the power to liberate and free this country from where it is. But say, unfortunately, even these youths, they use them against themselves. Like as they talk, we all need to spread this message. That now, what in Christ said radio and TV they do. Spread the message. Let the people know, say, this money where they borrow, now me, you, us, now you go pay them back. So we need to begin to ask questions now. We need to begin to look for breakdown. We need to begin to recall our representatives. In short, we need to stand up and say, as we dey go vote now, 2027, who no give us account, who no show road of how things take dey go, we no need them again. Thank you so much, Ezeoniperi, for today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, so and for you, when we say you dey with us, you don't hear am oh. Say like them talk, say borrowing no bad. Now waiting then use that borrowed money do. If the money no create growth, then that debt they very heavy. Where we say Nigerians them go carry. Thank you. Say you done that with us for economy today. Don't forget, say you will continue to join us from time to time for more or to take the sabi economy matters as we dey continue to break down economy on how it dey affect your pocket directly for way where you go understand and you go also dey carried along. Still continue to like us, follow us, subscribe to everything wey Christ Radio and TV they do on all social media platforms. We dey at Christ Radio TV. Information na im be the cocoa, and Christ Radio TV na the place to get all the information you need. No dull yourself, shine your eye, dey with us, and we sef go dey with you. Sake of say for this place, your matter na we own. My name na Princess Aniana. Continue to enjoy your day.